It all starts with the idea to create a wallet design for an individual, which is basically making them a wallet that they will want to keep and use for a long time. So a wallet becomes a very personal item where quality is remembered. Every wallet you make can be different or have unique features, so a custom wallet design, sorted out and organized into a project with a detailed plan, becomes more essential as your projects grow in complexity. This long wallet project has 23 pockets, 18 for cards, 4 for cash or documents, and a zipper pouch for coins. This video shows how it was made starting from the drawing board, which for me is to start with two-dimensional drafting, and I like to use the AutoCAD program because it is easier than drafting on a table and more accurate. You can set your line type to dashes, space 5 millimeters or 3/16 of an inch for accurate stitches. Draw your stitching seams 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and add your artwork to make your drawings very accurate and lifelike. Since there are a lot of pockets, it is essentially a few small wallets stitched together and transported as a unit. So how they will be assembled are important details to include in your pattern pieces. I like to print in 1/8 inch acrylic for a cutout template to trace around with a hobby knife to cut out all the leather parts. I like this method because the sturdy acrylic pattern parts are also excellent layout tools to help keep the parts organized, lined up, and attached square. When choosing leather, a 4-ounce saddle leather is ideal for the wallet back, especially if you want to carve the back. It's also a good idea to add a thin leather liner to the back of your carved leather, like 1.5-ounce pigskin, which is very strong but lightweight and feels nice. For card pockets, saddle leather split to about 2 ounces works well to secure the cards snugly without breaking them. Thin saddle leather is very stiff at first and droops to the shape of the pockets over time. When it begins to soften, it will patina with the person using it. The best materials are evenly split to the right thickness to make them easier to use, and it shows in the finished product. After all the pieces are cut, they can be organized for the next steps. You want to make sure all the pieces are there, and you have a few extra pieces just in case you make a mistake or two. It is very disappointing not to have enough materials to finish your project or lose a part, but you can always make more parts or pick up where you left off. You also want to have all the hardware you need, like zippers, rivets, snaps, glue, thread, and quantity of dye. To decorate the leather, lay out the artwork for a carved wallet back. Transparency film works great because it can be printed like paper in 1:1 scale. Then case the leather in room temperature water, which is to gently soak the leather all the way through and allow it to dry until firm but malleable, about 10 minutes. Then tape the transparency over top of the leather and onto a hard surface like this piece of marble, and use a stylus tool to trace and make an impression for a swivel knife to follow. To make accurate contour lines, set your swivel knife and draw by dragging your hand along the impression from the top of the curves to the intersection points. Lifting your swivel knife and setting the depth of cut for each pass is easier than trying to maneuver your knife around sharp angles. You want to be careful not to cut all the way through the leather and bevel the edges you want to stand out. When you are beveling the edges, gently tap on the top of the stamping tool. I like to use a mallet tool called a maul and loosely position the bevel stamps over the edges of the contour lines and make several passes to even out the stamp marks. The bevel stamps used here are Craft Tool B2042 and B2045. And a small stylus with a spoon-shaped tip works great to smooth out uneven stamp marks as well. When the tooled leather is bone dry, it can be colored because damp leather will not accept the dye very well, especially if you're using oil-based dyes. The EcoFlow solvent or water-based dyes used here are yellow and black, and applied with a brush to evenly separate the colors along the edge of the design, and a small sponge to flood the black background and interior pockets. Then mark your stitching holes starting from the back and all the stitching lines that will be punched through after the wallet back is attached to the interior pockets. Skiving down the edges is an important part in making the wallet easier to stitch together and shape the protective sunken stitching seam, especially around the inside of the ID pocket window and the top where the card will be inserted because the corners of cards can get caught on loose thread. Adding an acrylic top coat to the back of the unlined card pockets creates a moisture barrier to protect the leather fibers from wear too. The gluing process is an important step to ensure the leather does not move while it is being stitched together. If you want to have square corners, the leather needs to remain flat, so gluing the parts together on a sturdy piece of acrylic helps the parts maintain their shape, especially when gluing multiple layers. You also need to apply a small amount of pressure to smooth out any air bubbles. A small hammer can be used to shape the leather, and a small weight can be placed on top to achieve the best bond. When you are gluing in a pigskin liner, cut the leather slightly larger and make sure the glue will seal the edge. A glass burnisher works well for the corners. Then glue the liner in around a curve to start the natural wallet fold. Then squeeze out any air pockets with a wooden dowel to make the leather lie flat. When you position a pocket in the middle of another pocket, an acrylic glue-up jig works great to tack the pocket into place and make the pocket easier to stitch square. The acrylic also works great for a zipper jig to align the zipper tape between two pieces of saddle leather. The area around the zipper has a 1/2-inch cylinder shape cut out for the zipper to fit into on top and bottom, so both sides match up when glued. You need to finish the opening edges before installing the zipper and press down firmly with a clamp for a better bond. Then it is important to allow the glue to dry on the bottom piece before gluing on the top piece, and again allow the glue to dry before punching the holes through and stitching the zipper into place. Then stitch the lining into the pouch and add a pull tab for the zipper. This one is 1/2 inch wide with a 3/16 inch strip for a raised center. The line 24 snap closure is attached to a 1.5 inch strap, and the other end is raised with a sunken rivet. A dowel works great to measure and trim the liner. The snap has the cap sandwiched between the leather, so it is set into the bottom before stitching the strap latch together. A hand press works great to set the closure, and at this point it is a good idea to make sure the snap closure is in good working order before attaching it to the back. Then glue the latch together around a curve and finish the edges. When you are ready to attach the latch, stitch around to the attachment point, then glue and rivet the end on the wallet back. The rivet is sunken to make it very difficult to come loose during use, and a little pressure is needed to create an even bond. When the glue is dry, punch the holes through and continue stitching. The ends of the thread are passed between the latch and the wallet back. Then finish with a triple back stitch and burn off the ends. After you glue and stitch leather pieces together, the ends need to be finished, which is to trim off the excess leather, sand flush, round over or bevel the edges, touch up with a little dye, slick up the edge until it is smooth, and finish with a coat of edge paint. This process is done for every project you do, so having a strategy helps. First thing is to remove the excess glue, which I find a sanding stick works great because it is flat and easy to maneuver. Then use the appropriate sized edger and make sure it is sharp to round over the edges. A small sponge used for cleaning electronic equipment works great for adding dye to the edge, but be careful not to add too much dye or it'll color your thread. Then allow the dye to dry and slick the edges to make them smooth before applying edge paint. Before stitching the coin pouch onto the back, glue the sides of the pouch first because it is harder to get multiple pieces of leather lined up without the pieces slipping and drying uneven. Do the same for the other side. Taking the time to make sure the edges all line up as it is being glued will pay off for you in the long run because there will be less work to finish the edges. Then attach the pocket sections to the wallet back one at a time, making sure all the stitching seams are glued in tight and allowed to dry. When the one side is finished, repeat the process for the other side and finish stitching the wallet together. When all the edges are finished, use a bone folder to open up all the pockets a little bit more and apply some leather conditioner to make the wallet soft and supple. This conditioning process changes the leather from building materials to a usable wallet. To care for this wallet, you will not want to get it wet and apply leather conditioner as needed.